Hello and welcome back to the Boro Breakdown Opposition Preview Show with Tom Green and our guest for the evening, Patch from Peaps In A Podcast, who is here to give us a Bristol City perspective on Saturday's game. Patch, thanks very much for joining me. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm here nursing a Brewdog Lost Lager, so I've gone for blood orange flavour. Just trying that one out, but all good, mate. Thanks for asking.
Interesting choice. I hope the the drink isn't kind of any indication of the season so far.
No, it's just
um,
take the edge off a Thursday night, I think.
So to kick things off, then going into Saturday's game, 2 points ahead of Boro in 15th place after 19 games played. So my first question is, where does this measure up against your initial expectations of your team going into the season?
Yeah, good question. My initial expectations were for us to finish about top of the bottom half. So we are kind of there or thereabouts. So I think we've played one more game than a lot of the teams in the championship. So it depends, obviously, how they get on with their game in hand. But it's about where I expected. We did filter. We did have a look at a higher placed position when we went unbeaten for 8 games. And we had that good run, scoring lots of goals, always scoring one more than the opposition. That seems to be our trick. But we went off the boil a little bit. We played Norwich and Burnley, which are two great teams, and then it was the international break, and then we struggled to regain some form. So the last sort of 5-6 games, we've been win, loss, draw. So consistently inconsistent at the moment, but I've still got hopes for that squeeze into the top half. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? The championship is such a difficult league to call.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting that you say the initial thoughts were to be kind of top of the bottom half there. Is that is it kind of an ongoing like rebuilding process for Bristol City? Maybe you're thinking next year or 2 years down the line would be challenging, but right now it's kind of mid rebuild.
Yeah, when Nigel Pearson came in, he had a bit of a rebuild to do. He had to get rid of some of the. We had a massive squad, quite frankly, and he had to get rid of some players that weren't on his bus, so to speak. And he's doing that, virtually almost done that, I would say now, because our squad is quite small. So he's done a good job in terms of getting the team together that he wants, getting them how he wants to play. But we're still on that journey. We're still not at the end of his 3-year plan, as he called it, which he's sort of recently said it might be a 4-year plan. But yeah, it's a journey we're on. It's an improvement we want to see on last season. And we've seen that in patches this season with some more free flowing football, some exciting football, some football that's going to get you off your seat. But the current ask is to find that level of consistency to actually deliver week in, week out, as opposed to now and again.
So would you say you're enjoying the journey so far under Pearson? Then I think is it what a season and a half before this one he'd had, or was it the start of before the start of last season he
Yeah, I'm not
joined?
entirely sure because he signed for us, and it was more of a temporary arrangement, and then it became that full time, that more concrete situation. But yeah, I mean, it must be almost 2 years now. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey. He was definitely the sort of manager we needed at the time. I've been Pearson in through all of this process, because he set his stall out early and came in and said that he needed time to turn things around. And for example, Watford have changed their manager what now 6 times in the last couple of weeks.
Month.
Yeah, so you need to just give people time to instill their culture, to get people playing the way they want to play, to get some of their own players in. So we're still on that journey. I don't think you should judge a manager that quickly. He needs a good 2-3 years to be able to to instill his way of thinking into the club, and he's bringing through the youngsters as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Some of the players we've got coming through from our academy, he'd rather blood them from the academy versus getting loans in, which is great to see. Great to see Bristol boys playing in your Bristol City football team. So, yeah, it's a journey. It has been a roller coaster. Some fans are less patient than others because we've got the infrastructure off the pitch, the stadium, the high performance centre, training ground, etc. So it's a journey we're on for sure.
Just going back to something you said earlier about having quite a small squad, I feel like that might be having an effect at the moment in terms of your defence. Because when I was doing the research, Nigel Pearson had some kind of interesting comments after the game against Sheffield United the other day, where he's essentially saying his forwards have been clinical, but the defence, which has been hit with injuries, in fairness, has been unreliable. Is that a kind of sentiment you'd agree with?
Well, not exactly, because the lads that came into the defence on Saturday, so George Tanner, who I didn't think was a centre back in it, and he isn't a centre back; he's a right back, but he fitted in really well and didn't put a foot out of place in the right side of a three at centre back. Zach Viner, who was literally out of the bus station and getting on a different person's bus come this time last year, has worked his way back on, and he's almost at the front of the bus now. So he's someone who's come back from the cold and is performing really well. And Cam Pring is a player who's been not on the bus in recent months, been given an opportunity finally on the left side of a back three, and has performed terrifically. So those three have performed really well. They haven't played together before as a three, to my knowledge, other than Saturday and the game just gone on Tuesday. So it's going to take time to gel. But if you look at the players we've got out injured at the moment from in a centre back position, Thomas Callas, Tim Closer, Rob Atkinson, Cal Naismith. There's 4 centre backs there that would get into most teams in the championship. So, they've taken their opportunity and they've done their best, and that's all you can ask for.
You mentioned there about the back three. Just kind of looking ahead to Saturday's game. Is that how you regularly set up, or is this kind
Yeah.
of a enforced formation?
No,
And
that's how we set up, and that's how we've set up pretty much all season. I think it's 3-5-2, 5-3-2 in defence, 3-5-2 in attack, and the wing backs, who have been in the main, Jada Silva on the left, Mark Sykes on the right, do get forward and often find themselves very high up the pitch. So that's where the goals have been conceded, because we are trying that system. We are advanced in that high press most of the time. So it's almost a tactic to try and score one more than the opposition.
George Tanner suspended for the weekend's game after a bad tackle on against Sheffield United the other night led to a sending off. Personally, thought he got the ball. Don't know what the problem was. How much of a miss do you think he's going to be? You mentioned there the amount of injuries in defence. Is there anyone who you think is going to step in at the weekend?
Yeah, so George Tanner's only played Saturday and Tuesday for us pretty much all season. So he's come in, he's put in 2 good shifts. I don't know if you saw the game in midweek, but he had a rasping strike that hit the upright as well, which is great to see. So yeah, it's disappointing that he'll be out for 3 games, but he'll come back hungry, and Tim Closer will slot straight into that position more than likely, or swap with Zach Viner. So we've got a couple of players coming back from illness and maybe a player coming back from injury. It's unclear at the moment, but he'll be a miss because he's had a couple of good games. But yeah, it was a reckless challenge. But what wound us up as City fans was like 10 minutes earlier, Oliver Norwood did exactly the same tackle on Joe Williams, and I guess because the resultant feet up in the air didn't happen, and it wasn't as much of a reaction, it wasn't a red card. It wasn't even a booking, which is crazy.
So, in the team on Saturday, who should Boro fans be looking out for as kind of the danger men in the Bristol City team?
So we've had a a really good relationship blossom through the under 21s into the first team from Naki Wells and Tommy Conway up front. That's our two up front. And, between them, they've got 14, 15 goals, a number of assists. They look out for each other. They've got a really good relationship. So if they're firing and they're getting the supply, then Naki Wells and Tommy Conway. Obviously, Alex Scott's made a lot of headlines, in particular in this week. The game on Sky, probably one of his best ever performances for Bristol City. Danced through the whole team, the whole Sheffield United team a couple of times and got some good shots away. So if you're looking for some people to look out for, then it's probably Naki Wells, Tommy Conway, and Alex Scott are the three if they're on song. And everyone else performs at a 6 or a 7, then I can see us getting a win.
Yeah, I mean, Naki Wells is a Naki Wells is a name that I'm sure will strike fear into everyone from Boro, because I'm pretty sure he tends to have a really good game against us whenever he plays.
Oh,
and interesting mentioned about Alex Scott there as well, because I think it was the Sky Sports commentators were really kind of bigging him up during that game. So yeah, Saturday's game. Are there any Boro players you're not looking forward to coming up against?
Is Britta Sombalonga still playing?
No.
Yeah. How about Gary Pallister? Is he still? Nigel Pearson?
Oh, going back a bit there.
Janino, Ravanelli. No. I. You might be able to tell. I focus so much on Bristol City that it's you play who you're up against, focus on your own game, shape the way you want to shape up. I've always been a firm believer in playing, setting out the way you want to play, regardless of the opposition. So you tell me, who's the danger men that we should be looking out for as Bristol City fans?
Oh, well, I mean, we've got a couple of threats on the wings. Ryan Giles from left back. We moved to a back four recently under Michael Carrick, so I'm sure he's going to be trying to get on the overlap and get the crosses in. Same with Isaiah Jones on the right-hand side. And Chuba Akpom is having an absolute resurgence in his career at the moment. Got a goal against Hull the other night, and he's been absolutely outstanding. Really... it kind of comes back to, very similar to what you said about Zach Viner earlier, of kind of nearly being off the bus. That was the case for Akpom, and he's really kind of came back in from the cold during pre-season because we didn't have the options up front, and then he's played his way back into the team, and now he's probably one of the first names on it. So we'll be looking for him to have a good game on Saturday.
Yeah, and you mentioned Michael Carrick there as well. It's his first home game, I gather, isn't it? Yeah, so
it is. Yeah.
Hopefully, there's no bounce for you. But it's. What do you think about the appointment of Michael Carrick? Was it the sort of manager you were looking for, or?
Oh, it's a bit of an unknown, to be honest. Just
First real job, isn't it?
Yeah, coming after coaching at Man United, he's obviously got good pedigree as a player and undefeated as Man United manager. So we soon put a stop to that with his first game in charge. But no, he seems to kind of really know what he's talking about, and seems to be doing well in terms of coaching the team and drilling them really. But yeah, looking forward to his first home game. But Bristol City have a fairly decent record at the Riverside. You've won 3 of the last 5 games, including 2 3-1 victories. So how confident are you for Saturday then?
I'm always confident. Look, when we go away, we always take a good number, even a 4-hour, 5-hour, however long it's going to take journey to Middlesbrough. We'll take some good numbers, and everyone's full of confidence. So the fact that we drew, the fact that we lost on Tuesday, it was a really good performance. We just didn't have that final cutting edge, and Sheffield United. I can't understand how they're so high up in the league because they didn't offer a great deal, to be honest. So we're due a win. We're due a win. So it's going to be an interesting one. As I say, if everyone performs at a 6 or a 7 out of 10, then there's every chance that we will get a victory. So, yeah, I don't know if you're looking for a prediction, but I'll go 2-1 Bristol City.
Well, yeah, I mean that was going to be the last
The
question. I've
killer question.
Still got a couple more, but yeah, 2-1 Bristol City. We'll note that one down. So where do you think the game's going to be won and lost from a Bristol City perspective on Saturday?
Defending set pieces. That's going to be where it's won and lost. If we defend set pieces well, then I think we've got every chance of building on that as a platform to move forward. So yeah, if we defend well, are well drilled, get the ball out wide, get some decent deliveries in, then that's what Nahki Wells and Tommy Conway can feed off of. It's going to be interesting to see whether he sticks with Andy Weimann or brings back in Antoine Semenyo in that position in behind the front two. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, some decent deliveries, some well defended situations as set pieces and corners, and that is something that we can then build upon, because if Nahki Wells and Tommy Conway get the service, then they will help each other out to get a goal or two. So that's where it'll be won or lost.
That actually sounds pretty familiar. I think we're the same. We've covered it quite extensively on the podcast the last few weeks in terms of Boro's wars in defending set pieces. But we seem to put a stop to that against Hull. Touch wood, that'll continue. But yeah, I mean, my last question was going to be predictions for Saturday's game. You've said 2-1 Bristol City. I'm going to go the other way around, say 2-1 Boro. I was nearly spot on with my Hull City prediction the other day, where I said 3-0, and everyone thought I was mad, and then we ended up winning 3-1. So I hope I'm right with this one, but either way, it sounds like it's going to be an entertaining game. You know, Michael Carrick's got Boro playing fairly decent again, and it sounds like it's similar for Nigel Pearson at Bristol City.
Yeah, famous last words, but I'd be amazed if it was 0-0. There's definitely going to be goals in this one, and I just want to say as well, congratulations on the fact that you've got an association with the Motor Neurone Disease Association. I think that's fantastic. We've recently had a former player who's been diagnosed, so good on you. And I know you're all well on your way to raising your goal and your target. So congratulations, mate. It's fantastic.
Oh, cheers for that. Yeah, it's a charity really close to our hearts here at the Borough Breakdown, and yeah, we're well on our way to hopefully raising £3,000 for neurone disease. And I'll just kind of give that a quick plug again now. If anyone wants to donate or buy any Borough Breakdown merchandise, where the profits go to the MNDA. But anyway, that was everything from me. So thanks for joining me, Patch.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks for tuning in. Anyone listening or watching on YouTube, this was your opposition preview show, Up the Borough Breakdown.